Kyle Howarth. Curious, how does the Church of Scientology logically reason out that the whole planet will be cleared if you have so many SPs? And if they don't come back to the fold, how do you get everyone? Hey, this is a good question because actually I don't know that I've explained this in quite some time, and it kind of, this will allow me to do this. What is clearing the planet? What does that mean for Scientologists? It doesn't mean that every single person has to become a Scientologist. Now, eventually, of course, that's what needs to happen. But clearing the planet has to do with a ratio. And that ratio is theta and theta. So theta is life force. Theta is life energy. It is not something that exists in the MEST universe, in the material universe. MEST is matter, energy, space, time. So I'm talking in Scientology terms right now with these explanations here. So the material or MEST universe is matter, energy, space, and time. Theta is none of those things. Theta is a life force or entity or bunch of entities that exist outside of the reality of matter, energy, space, and time. So theta is a general term for the total amount of, freed up, useful operational theta, because there's also, that's contrasted with N-Theta or interbulated theta. And interbulated, I don't know if that was a coined term from Hubbard. I've only ever heard it used in a Scientology context. Interbulated is stirred up, riled up, messed up. Or it's been solidified and hardened and made, more dense and more solid and not useful, not able to be used. It's chaotic and random. So N-Theta is the bad stuff. And when you, as a Thetan, when you experience traumatic or stressful events, what that means is the stress stays with you because some of your theta is twisted into this N-Theta. And this is the basis of what you're handling when you're doing Scientology auditing, is you are freeing N-Theta and converting it back into theta. Okay, it's a really early principle of Dianetics and Scientology. In fact, this predates Scientology as a concept. This was originally a Dianetics idea from 1951. All of this stuff was described in the book Science and Survival. So Hubbard then ran with this, and that's where you get the idea of Thetans and all that kind of stuff. All this goes back to your question because what Scientologists picture themselves doing is changing or flipping the theta N-Theta ratio. They want more theta and less N-Theta, but right now the N-Theta is winning. The N-Theta is on the heavy side of the scale, right? There's more N-Theta in our environment, and that's because of all of the reactive minds, all the stress and collected trauma and unconsciousness and pain that's stored in people's minds. And also, of course, when you get to the OT levels, you learn about the body thetans, and that's just a whole nother level of N-Theta, because all these thetans have literally been converted into N-Thetans. They're body thetans. They're immobile, they're useless, and they need to be freed from that situation. So clearing the planet means flipping that ratio. And the way Scientologists have communicated to themselves about how this is supposed to work is they're supposed to get 10,000 people auditing at one time or 10,000 completions. Either way, it's gone one way or the other. So I'm just throwing this out to you as like what they say inside the church. It's a little confusing because Scientology is a little confusing. But they basically said 10,000 solo knots auditors. And solo knots is OT7 on the grade chart. Solo New Era Dianetics for OTs. And OT7 is the one that takes years and years to get through. And you go home and every day you're auditing yourself solo, freeing up these body thetans. And you do this 4 or 5 sessions a day if you can. And it takes years to get through, and they want 10,000 of these OT7s. Let's say they want 10,000 completions. Let's say that. Well, they're a long way off from getting that, and that tells you exactly everything you need to know about the millions of Scientologists, because it's another marker, right, that there aren't millions of them. But if they figure that if they get 10,000, that'll be enough to flip the switch, right? And boom, we'll have more theta than N-Theta. And that will result in clearing the planet. So those are all part of some of the internal calculations of Scientology. And these things come and go in stress and priority within the world of Scientology. You know, normally you're only hearing about this stuff at events where they're trying to sell people OT7, right? You know, the lower level people don't put tons and tons of attention on this. This is mostly coming out of promotional and marketing materials or things that get said at events. But it's not like Scientologists have long, deep conversations, you know, contemplating these things. They just kind of mostly focus on themselves getting up the bridge, and eventually they figure the planet will get handled or cleared at some point. So that's kind of how it works.